Texas is the biggest battleground state in the country. Our Democratic Party is building a future that is focused in equality and prosperity.
Our mission is innovative, inclusive, and hopeful. We are creating a Texas that we can all believe and thrive in.
Some of the boldest Democrats to navigate the halls of Congress have called Texas home, and some of them have even made their mark on the White House.
Texas produces progressives, trailblazers, and steady-handed leaders alike who consistently push the needle on issue after issue.
Our leaders champion the noblest of causes because we believe that our country is stronger when we celebrate diversity, live our values, and inspire unity.
Texas Democrats have built a movement founded on landmark policies and programs that make America one of a kind.
We safeguard our planet and fight for equal rights. We deliver on building an economy that works for all Texans. We defend a woman's right to choose, and we challenge the inhumane policies that set to tear our country apart.
While Texas Democrats may differ in their approaches, each one of them has fought like hell to change the course of history and leave our state that much more equitable.
We are the party that paves the way for the future because we cannot advance as a society until everyone has a seat at the table. Donald Trump can't win the White House without Texas, and we've got a plan to defeat him.
We know that the strength and resilience of our movement means that we can overcome any challenge set before us.
We know that we will succeed because what we are fighting for is humane, it is just, and it is truthful.
Every day, little by little, our movement grows and our chants for justice ring louder.
We are shaping the political future of our state and ensuring that everyone has a fair shot at the American dream.
This is what it means to be a Texas Democrat. Because when we save Texas, we save our democracy.
And when we save our country, we save the world.
Texas is the biggest battleground state.
And in 2020,
we have the opportunity to turn our state blue
up and down the ballot.
We have the opportunity to expand access to affordable health care, finance our public schools, strengthen our economy, and take meaningful action on gun violence. There's so much more in the United States Senate.
We have the opportunity to pave the way towards a more sustainable future at the Texas Railroad Commission.
We have the opportunity
to elect judges
and the justices
who will restore fairness, equality, and balance in our courts.
We have the opportunity to shape the political future of Texas
and repair the broken systems that disenfranchise working families in our great state.
We have the opportunity to ensure that Texans in positions of power
embrace empathy,
open minds,
and swing open the doors of possibility.
By working together
and uniting behind our shared vision of a more inclusive world,
we will win back our state.
We will win because we have to.
We have to put an end to the hate, the lack of access, and the suffering.
We have to deliver on the fair shot that every Texan deserves.
Our cause,
our movement,
is about the restoration of justice and the expansion of opportunity.
None of this can be accomplished unless we work together.
In order to bring lasting change to Texas,
we must work alongside every down ballot candidate, every activist, and every Texas Democrat to continue building the largest democratic movement our state has ever seen.
We're asking you to be a part of this historic fight.
Together, we will create a Texas that we can all believe and thrive in.
Together, we will save Texas and in turn, save the entire country.
Join us.
Join us.
Welcome everyone to Flip Fest. I will be your MC today. My name is Beto O'Rourke, and you just had a chance to listen to Mariachi Femenil Flores from my hometown of El Paso, Texas. I've had the chance to hear them perform live in person many, many times, and it's such a tribute to this moment and what we're working on that Mariachi Femenil Flores would take the time to open up today's event. And so I want to thank them and let them know that we are so proud of them and what they represent to us in El Paso, to us in Texas, and to us in the United States of America. I want to thank each of you for joining us today and supporting the work that the House Democratic Campaign Committee and the Texas Democratic Party are doing, not just for the state of Texas, but I hope to make the case for everyone in this country. I want to thank our hosts, Steve Rudner, David Lee, Sharon Young, Claire Dewar, so many who have contributed so much to make sure that our state and our party has the resources it needs to compete everywhere up and down the ballot and win the big elections before us. Because not only do we want to see Democrats in positions of public trust, not only do we want to win these races, we're up against some really bad stuff right now. Many of you who are following the news in Texas saw that this week, our Republican governor, Greg Abbott, closed unilaterally all of the satellite drop-off locations for absentee ballots in Texas. Now, what this will mean in a county like Harris, which is almost 2,000 square miles, is that you'll have voters who are eligible to vote by absentee, who don't trust the U.S. mails because the President of the United States is undermining the U.S. mails as we speak, who want to have a secure location close to their home to drop those off. After this voter suppressive tactic from the governor, some of those residents are going to have to drive up to 50 miles in order to drop off their ballot. Now, when you think about the history of voter suppression in Texas, this is the state that for 20 years in the 20th century had the all-white Democratic primary, which meant if you were Black and you lived in Texas, you could not participate in your government, in your democracy, in the future of your country. This is the same state that within minutes of the Shelby decision and Ruth Bader Ginsburg's fiery dissent in that case implemented the most onerous voter ID laws in the country. Voter ID laws that say that you can use your license to carry a firearm to prove who you are at the ballot box, but you cannot use your ID from the University of Texas at El Paso to prove who you are at the ballot box. This is the same state that has racially gerrymandered every state representative, state senate, U.S. congressional district. Those aren't my words. Those are the words of a 3-judge federal panel in 2017. And this is also the state, ladies and gentlemen, that for the last 8 years has closed more than 750 polling locations, most of them concentrated in the fastest growing Latino and Black neighborhoods and communities. This is the voter suppression that we're up against, that's been at work for the last 144 years in Texas. So that brings us to this point. We either submit to this, succumb to this, allow this to defeat us, or we overcome it and refuse to allow it to deter us or deny us the victories that we will earn with the courageous candidates who are running up and down the ballot and the work on the part of the Texas Democratic Party and the House Democratic Campaign Committee. We have the most amazing field of candidates running at the state representative level that I've ever seen in my 48 years as a Texan and on this planet. Most of them are women. Most of them are women of color, and many of them are Black women in a state that has tried to keep Black men and women from not only running from office, but even voting in the first place. There is a certain political and poetic justice if it is these very same women who win these elections and produce a Democratic majority in the state house for the first time in 20 years. And folks, with that majority, we can begin to dismantle the infrastructure of suppression and intimidation that has long defined our democracy here in Texas, and then move forward on the big aspirational things that we want to do together. Expand access to healthcare in the least insured state in the union. Reduce gun violence in a state that knows El Paso, Midland, Odessa, Santa Fe High School shootings, Sutherland Springs. Make sure that this state is the leader on confronting climate change before it is too late, criminal justice reform, and reducing the involvement of police who kill those who are in their custody, who are unarmed, especially Black men and women. I want Texas to be a leader on all of those things, but we've got to win these races first, and we've got to overcome the voter suppression in front of us. Your donations today to HDCC, the House Democratic Campaign Committee, ensures that our candidates have the resources to compete and to compete successfully and produce that majority. We only need to pick up 9 seats, as well as holding those seats that we won in 2018 to get that majority. And the good news is, in 2018, I won more votes than did Ted Cruz in 9 of those districts that we've got to pick up. So not only can we do this, in a previous year, we actually did do this. We turned out enough Democratic voters. We now just need to get them to vote up and down the ballot. Last point that I want to make. If you are like me, you are also concerned about races further up the ballot, what our congressional majority will look like, whether we can defeat John Cornyn with the extraordinary MJ Hagar, and whether Joe Biden will become the first Democratic nominee in 44 years to win the 38 electoral college votes in Texas and put to rest this national nightmare on the night of November 3rd. My theory of the case is the following. If we all fund the HDCC by making donations today to help these state rep candidates on the ground level of democracy, they will use those resources to expand the electorate. We still have time to register new voters before Monday. They will engage that electorate and they will turn them out in record numbers. And so not only will those state house candidates win, those congressional candidates a little further up the ballot have a better chance of winning their races. The US Senate contest, where MJ's only 2 points down to John Cornyn, that becomes a little bit more possible. And Joe Biden, thanks to the work that we are all doing tonight, your donations to HDCC tonight can become that president who we all want to enact the most ambitious progressive agenda in the history of this country. And we can decide that on November 3rd, instead of waiting days or weeks for that contest to be litigated in the courts or the recounts in other states. That's what's on the line. That's what HDCC and the Texas Democratic Party are working on. And that's why I'm so grateful to you and the amazing lineup of performers that we have tonight for supporting their efforts. Now, before we get to our first performer, Andra Day, I want to introduce a quick movie, a short film, a video on Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who again, in her dissent in the Shelby decision, made the case for the work that we're doing right now, restoring voting rights through the voting activity, election activity, and campaign work that HDCC is doing. So please take a moment to enjoy this video.
We, the people of the United States,
in order to form
a more perfect union.
These words have guided our nation through the perils of history and the progress of society.
Right now, the very cornerstones of our democracy are at risk.
Justice is on the ballot this year.
Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg showed us how to fight for something bigger than ourselves.
No one should disparage her life's work.
Nor should anyone exploit the death of an American hero to undermine our democratic institutions.
Justice is on the ballot this year.
We stand on the shoulders of Justice Ginsburg.
From the United States Supreme Court
to the Texas Supreme Court.
When we restore fairness and balance to the Texas Supreme Court,
we will uphold the U.S. and Texas constitutions.
We will preserve our democracy and balance the scales of justice.
We will fight to ensure
that every single person,
regardless of their race, ethnicity, orientation, gender identity, or socioeconomic status,
has equal justice under law.
Justice is on the ballot this year.
The Republicans of the Texas Supreme Court
have time and time again put power over people, stripping Texans of fundamental rights.
Almost always, there's a right and a wrong side of history.
And by staging a power grab hours after the death of Justice Ginsburg, Republicans have shown exactly which side they're on.
Justice Ginsburg fought until the very end.
And now it is our job
to carry on her fight.
Justice is on the ballot this year.
All right. Again, thank you all for being with us. You are taking part in Flip Fest, which is our combined effort to support the House Democratic Campaign Committee, which is working on winning a Democratic majority in the state house of Texas for the first time in 20 years, and helping to send voters up the ballot to win congressional, U.S. Senate, and yes, even the presidential race. And all of this is made possible by some extraordinary artists and performers, actors, and musicians who have joined us today. And the first that I have the pleasure of introducing to you is Andra Day. Andra, thank you so much for being with us. Tell us how you're doing and where you are in the world right now.
Thank you so much, Beto. Thank you so much for having me. It really is my pleasure and honor and need to support this cause and support what you're doing out there in Texas. Right now, I am in California and I'm at home, like most of us are. But I'm here and I'm supporting what you guys are doing there because, you know, as I always say, you know, I may not live in Texas right now. I mean, I have family there, but it matters to us in California. It matters to us in every state around the nation, what happens in Texas. And so I think we all need to be sort of supporting each other from across the country like this. So yes, thank you for having me.
Andra, a lot of us may know you from your song Rise Up, which has been on repeat in our house for the last three or 4 years. The entire family in love with you and in love with the song, especially my daughter Molly.
Molly.
but a lot of people, they may know that you were nominated many times over for Grammy Award. They may not know that you also, like those of us in El Paso, Texas, grew up along the border. In your case, in San Diego, across the border from Tijuana. Can you talk a little bit about the border, which has been so demonized and vilified by Donald Trump as a place where people are coming to get us and take our stuff? What was life for you like in San Diego, and what would you want people to know about the border?
First of all, that's an amazing question, and thank you for bringing that up. I grew up literally a 10-minute drive from the Tijuana, San Diego border. And what I'd like people to know first is just look at the facts and look at the information. This idea that the majority of, you know, people crossing the border, the majority of people immigrating to the US from Mexico are criminals, and that they're, you know, they're committing these crimes and they're taking our jobs and they're doing, it's just not true. It's not factual. The information does not back it up. And I'd like people to know that, you know, I grew up with these people. These are my family. These are my friends, you know. There was never a moment where I looked at them as, you know, bad people who are taking our jobs, or, you know, I hear the most ridiculous things sometimes. And I just think, like, I have actual experience, you know, with, if these people are family, they're friends, they are just as American as you and I, and they work hard and they contribute, and their families treat my family like family. And so it just, you know, I would just really implore people to really ask questions and get to know people and really look at the information, because that alone, if you look at the numbers alone, it's just not true. It is not true that the majority or a lot of them that come over here are committing crimes or are doing all of these heinous things. It's just not factual. And so that's definitely something I'd like people to know about that.
I'm also struck by the fact that in addition to your success as a performer, as a musician, and as a songwriter, you've also been very politically engaged. When you spoke at the 2016 Democratic Convention, I believe you spoke in conjunction with or just after mothers of the movement, Black mothers who had lost a child to gun violence in this country. You also helped March for Our Lives, the young student-led movement to change our gun laws while respecting the Second Amendment, but protecting the lives of all of those who are in our lives right now. I know that you are, or I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you are portraying Billie Holiday in an upcoming movie, United States versus Billie Holiday. And I think of her focus on justice or injustice, most famously the song Strange Fruit. Yes. Can you talk a little bit about the responsibility you feel as someone who is followed by tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions around the world, to shine a light on issues of justice?
Yes, absolutely. And first of all, I'm just really happy that you know or seem to understand her as a fighter for justice and for equality and for our rights, because a lot of people don't. And I think it goes back to what you talked about when you were talking about voter suppression. I was listening and I was like, you know, he really understands what systemic oppression means and what systemic racism means. Billie Holiday's story was squashed. We were never supposed to know that she was integrating audiences, that she was fighting for civil rights, that she really died. And I stretch to say was actually killed because she would not stop singing a song about lynching in America. She would not stop singing about the atrocities that Black Americans faced. And so to me, playing her and doing this movie was a huge, huge, huge honor, not just because she is one of my biggest inspirations. She's probably my foremost inspiration musically, but also because she really used her platform and gave her life to bring awareness to the things that the fact that we're dealing with really steep inequalities here in this country, and that we have to face the fact that we have been a racist nation, and we need to be able to open that wound and clean it out so that we can actually heal and move forward. And so I love her, and the reason I love her is because I do think it's important as artists. We've been given a gift and we've been given a voice, and sometimes we're given a platform in conjunction with those things. And, you know, though I don't want to say that, you know, okay, we're obligated as artists, but I do think there's a reason we've been given those things, and it's to reflect, you know, the times and to reflect what's going on. And for me to be a witness spiritually to things that are going on. And it matters to me that I don't just use my platform to talk about what's going on in my life, but to talk about what's going on in society at large. And I think we've seen, you know, there's a band that I love, Tinari Wen, a Malian band from Mali. And their music was primarily responsible for creating a revolution in that nation. You know, we've seen it during the war in the 60s, you know, here in America. And so we really do have a lot of power. And I think when we neglect that, we're missing a huge piece when it comes to actually progressing and moving forward and, you know, creating equality and opportunity and creating a healthy nation and a healthy place to live for us. So it's definitely a big part. I didn't expect it to be that way, but, you know, if you care, then you can't help but to throw your hat in the ring, you know.
And I got to tell you, it's working. And I love that you have highlighted those who are working outside of the traditional pathways of power, who don't hold political office, but are marching in the streets, are leading Black Lives protests, who are forcing those in positions of power to be accountable for their actions and to describe what they're going to do to make things better. Yes. And I think your work and the work of the other artists that we're going to have a chance to listen to is such a big part of that. And it's always been a part of positive change in American history. So on behalf of the people of Texas, we thank you for being part of this effort, supporting the communities that want to be heard right now, making sure that everyone casts that ballot and every ballot is counted. And Texas comes through for Texas, but also comes through for the country. So we could not be more grateful. And I understand we get to hear you perform now, and I understand you're going to perform Rise Up.
Mm-hmm. I am going to perform Rise Up, yes. And I dedicate this performance and this song to all of Texas. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much, Beto, and everybody who's here involved in this event with me.
Go round and you can find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we're gonna walk it out and move mountains. We gonna walk it out and move mountains. Yeah, and I rise up. I rise like the day, I rise up, I rise unafraid, I rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again for you, for you. Silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, and I know you feel like dying. But I promise we'll take the world to its feet and move mountains. Bring it to its feet and move. Mountains, and our eyes like the day, our eyes up, our eyes unafraid, our eyes up, and I do it 1,000 times again for you. We have each other, and for that we have each other, and we will rise, and we'll rise, I will rise up high like the waves are. In spite of the ache, 1,000 times again. Oh, we'll rise up, high like the waves. We will rise up, in spite of the ache, 1,000 times again for you. Thank you. God bless. Waste not one night, that's that working time, 'cause I want more of you, even when I'm at your side. I wish I could take your pain, but I can't help you stand. I try to bring a soothing way to every song and dance, 'cause staying out all night won't make your troubles go away. Crying, starting a fight won't make your troubles go away. You've been looking for the quick fix, and it's leaving you helpless. But I would give you all of me to make your troubles quick fix, and it's leaving you helpless. But I would give you all of me to make your troubles go away. You don't have to hide from me. I've seen the gruesome scenery, but I still have my hands out. I'll only give you everything. 'Cause staying out all night won't make your troubles go away. Crying, starting a fight won't make your troubles go away. You've been looking for the quick fix, and it's leaving you helpless. But I would give you all of me to make your troubles go away. To make your troubles go away.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Again, you are attending Flip Fest. This is our combined effort to make sure that we elect a Democratic majority in the State House for the first time in 20 years, ahead of the 2021 redistricting year, where the state legislature will decide the political boundaries for state house districts, congressional districts, and after this census, we'll probably pick up 3 new congressional districts. And we'll have a majority that can pursue common sense gun policy, confront climate change before it's too late, expand access to health care in the least insured state in the country, and do the big aspirational things that we expect of ourselves as Texans. And we're joined today by a number of extraordinary performers and artists and just amazing human beings and Americans. And the next that I get to introduce is Jason Isbell, who is one of my all-time favorite songwriters. You may know him from the Drive-By Truckers. You may know him even more from his solo career. I most recently know him from his performance with his wife in the NPR Tiny Desk series, where he performed one of my favorite songs of his, Dreamsicle, which is just beautiful and sad and was so powerful to hear in this setting in the midst of a quarantine. So want to welcome Jason Isbell to Flip Fest. Jason,
thank you so
are
much.
you?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing well. I'm doing well today. I'm at home. Can you guys hear me? Everybody got me in there?
Perfecto.
Good. I'm at home. I have the monitor here. My daughter's taking a nap. Oh, here's my wife. She's come to get the monitor from me. Say hi to Beto.
Hi.
Hey.
That's Amanda Shires, a Texan by birth and the grace of God.
Have y'all already started?
We just started.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's an honorary Texan.
I am an honorary Texan. So at least the governor's done one good thing.
Where's Amanda from in Texas?
Her father lives in Mineral Wells, and her mother is from Lubbock, or Amanda grew up in Lubbock. So that was the majority of her time. And when I met her, she lived there in Lubbock still. And so it's an honor to talk to you, Beto. Thank you so much for having me.
Jason, I mentioned that I just watched you and Amanda perform on that Tiny Desk series in front of what is truly a tiny desk. Tell me what it's like to perform and connect with audiences when you cannot see them in the flesh.
You know, it's different, but it still feels like a creative pursuit, and it still feels like one that makes a connection with people. It's not quite the same, but, you know, playing big shows for a bunch of people crammed in together isn't safe right now. And I still get to play the guitar and sing, and I get to sing my own songs, and that's my job. So, you know, I have no complaints. I have it pretty easy, even though I do miss a loud rock and roll show. I'll tell you, that's true.
Well, you seem to have figured it out. And I will say for some of the artists I follow, it's a little bit hit or miss. And I can imagine how hard it is to transition to connecting on screens versus in person. but you really seem to have been able to bridge the divide on that. And at least I felt it watching that show. Let me ask you something about another dynamic or aspect of your life. After the horrific shootings in El Paso last August and the shootings that followed within a 24-hour period in Dayton, Ohio, you tweeted something about assault weapons and these guns that were originally designed and engineered and sold to militaries to kill people. And a lot of our fellow Americans own them, and the vast majority own them responsibly. They're not going to use them against other human beings. And you tweeted something out about that, and someone responded about, well, Jason, tell me what I do about the 20 to 30 feral hogs that are in my yard attacking my children. And I got to tell you this quick story. When I was campaigning for Senate across Texas, I was in the community of Roscoe, which I know that Robert Earl Keane has been to. It's just outside of Sweetwater. And I was at Roscoe High School answering questions in a senior high school class. And this young man said, Beto, I understand that you want to ban the sale of assault weapons. Well, what am I going to do about my feral hogs? And the teacher, who is also I think the baseball coach, said, son, if you need an AR-15 to shoot that feral hog, you are a worse shot than I thought you were. Tell me how hard that has been for you to be so honest. I watched some of the blowback on Twitter from your fans who say, hey, Jason, just keep it to the music, leave the politics to somebody else. Tell me how you made that decision to not leave the politics to someone else.
Well, it sort of developed naturally for me. I was lucky enough in my early 20s to join up with a band called the Drive-By Truckers, and they were a Southern band, but they were very progressive in their politics and very loud and very much a punk rock band in the way they carried themselves. And they still are. They're still making great music. And that really appealed to me because I felt like, their beliefs were part of the deal, and that was part of the package. And they slept very well at night, whether they thought they were moving the needle or not. They slept well because they spoke out and they said what they thought was right and what they thought was wrong. And I think, as my audience has grown, I've felt more of a responsibility because I'm very fortunate. My life is really, really good, and I enjoy my life. And I don't think I would be able to enjoy my life if I took advantage of the good things that have happened to me by not feeling a responsibility to speak out for people who aren't in the same situation I'm in. I've written a lot of songs. I think the feral hogs thing was the most popular I've ever been. It was an amazing moment, but it spread the word, it spread the word far and wide. And actually, the state of Arkansas put some money toward helping out with the feral hog problem because of that. So I felt like we got something accomplished with a viral tweet. But yeah, it's just one of the same. I mean, my grandfather sang gospel music, and that's just kind of what I'm doing too. I'm thinking all the things that I believe and all the things that I feel, I put them in the songs. And I sing them. There's enough people out there to where if some people get angry, I'll just go find somebody else who agrees with me and I'll sing to them,
I love it. But before I ask you to introduce the song that we're going to hear, I want to remind everyone who's watching that you have a chance to join Jason and the other amazing artists that we're going to hear from shortly in supporting the House Democratic Campaign Committee. This is the organization that supports state representative candidates across Texas, some of whom are running in really tough districts, but all of whom have the courage of their convictions, are standing up for all of us. And if they win a majority, are going to do great things for Texas and really by extension, great things for the country. So you can see the goal, I think, on the right side of your screen. If you can donate now, much closer to the goal, and we will be grateful. So Jason, I'm going to close out by sharing any message that you have for the legion of fans who follow you in Texas. As I ask you to do this, you mentioned Drive-By Truckers having this punk rock ethos. Even though many people associate you with Americana or country or folk or the best traditions of Dylan, I see you in the tradition of punk rock that so turned me on when I was a young kid, and I still listen to as a 48-year-old man. So, and I mean that as a compliment. I think you really do bring the political into our lives in a way that's engaging and confrontational sometimes and absolutely necessary. So what would you like to say to the people of Texas who are watching before we get to hear you perform?
I would like for the people of Texas to know that I love Texas, and it's not just because my wife has forced me to do so. I love Texas before I even met my Texan wife. I would say that if she couldn't hear me right now. But I do. I love Texas. I've had some of the best times of my life and met some of my favorite people in your fine state. I'm wearing a Centromatic T-shirt, a band from Denton, Texas, that I love more than anything else in the world. And the shirt says, "Take pride in your long odds." And I think that's a good thing to do. Be proud of yourself for being the underdog. And, the rest of the country and thereby the rest of the world is watching Texas right now, as they should be, because Texas can handle that responsibility. You've proven it over the history of our country. And, I'm just proud to help however I can. And one day I'll be back there in person, and I look forward to celebrating flipping the state with my fellow progressive Texan friends.
We can't wait to see you. And we are so grateful for your help. And as I said to our previous guest, the fact that you outside of Texas, even with your Texas roots via your wife, are focused on us and are helping the HTCC means the world. So thank you for doing this. And tell us what we're about to hear.
This is a song off of our newest album. The album's called Reunions. I called it that before I knew we would be looking forward to reuniting with everybody one day. But I was just driving around singing to myself like I'm doing a lot and wondering, what I owe in return for being saved and for being respected and listened to, and for being able to play the guitar and sing every day for a job. So that's what this song is about, doing something for somebody else in sort of an altruistic way.
Andale pues.
Hello, welcome to Flip Fest 2020. I am honorary Texan Jason Isbell, as you can see from my paperwork here. To my left is real, authentic, original Texan Amanda Shires.
Howdy.
We're very happy to join you guys. Excited to say that it is possible to flip the state of Texas in 2020. And we hope that you guys will do everything that you can to make that happen. I hope that you are registered to vote. If you're not registered to vote, tomorrow is the last day for you to register in person. So let's all pitch in and do what we can to flip the state of Texas. I think that'd be really great, don't you?
Yes, I do.
We're happy to contribute with a couple of songs for you. This is one off my newest album. The song is called "What Have I Done to Help?" What have I done to help? What have I done to help somebody save me? What have I done to help? What have I done to help and not myself? What have I done to help? What have I done to help somebody save me? What have I done to help? What have I done to help and not myself? Thought I was alone in the world, so my memories gathered around me in the night. I thought I was strong until I finally had to fight. Kept my head down, showed up to work on time, and watched my appetite. Put the money in the mattress, lock your doors at night, we'd all be alright. What have I done to help? What have I done to help somebody save me? What have I done to help? What have I done to help and not myself? See, I've made mistakes that I can't erase. Some of the love I've lost will not come back to me. I broke my word, lied on vows just to feel a little free. She didn't deserve it, nobody ever deserves it, but I cut anchor and I drifted out to sea.
What have I done to help? What have I done to help somebody save me? What have I done to help? What have I done to help and not myself? What have I done to help? What have I done to help somebody save me? What have I done to help? What have I done to help and not myself? Come to save me, you and me and the baby. Send our thoughts and prayers to loved ones on the ground. As the days went by, we just stopped looking down. Now the world's on fire, we just climb higher. We're no longer bothered by the smoke and the sound. Good people suffer, the heart gets tougher, nothing given, nothing found. What have I done to help? What have I done to help somebody save me? What have I done to help? What have I done to help and not myself? What have I done to help? What have I done to help somebody save me? What have I done to help? What have I done to help and not myself? What have I done to help? What have I done to help somebody save me? What have I done to help? What have I done to help and not Thank you very much. It's Amanda Shires to my left, from Texas, from the great state of Texas.
Jason Isbell from Alabama.
From Alabama, but an honorary Texan, as you can see here, signed by the governor of Texas. We'll just say that, the governor of Texas. Thanks to everybody who's been working and volunteering and spending their time trying to encourage people to vote, to flip the state of Texas in 2020. I would be personally, as an honorary Texan and the husband of a real, authentic Texan, I would be so happy to see Texas flip. But I'll be happy if everybody who can participate participates and does their best and goes out and tries to do whatever they can to make their state of Texas as good as it can possibly be. What do you think?
I agree 100%.
Want to continue to be grateful to and welcome everyone to Flip Fest. This is our opportunity together to make sure that Texas comes through for Texas and that Texas comes through for the country. We are today supporting the House Democratic Campaign Committee, or the HDCC. Now, this is a group led by Representative Celia Israel that is working to help Democrats win state legislative seats so that we have a majority in the state house for the first time in 20 years. If you are concerned, as I am, about Governor Greg Abbott closing down absentee ballot voter collection sites, which is a tactic of voter suppression, if you are upset that we've closed 750 polling locations over the last 8 years, or have the most onerous voter ID laws on the books, or have racially gerrymandered this state, literally drawing out Black and Latino Texans from the ability to vote, from their democracy, to concentrate the power of white Texans, and you want to do something about it, donating right now to the HDCC gives them the resources to win a Democratic majority in 2020 and ensure that we have a seat at the table when redistricting happens in 2021. And it also allows us to move forward on the big things that we want to do. Now, I understand we are just shy of $40,000 raised so far. So to everyone who's donated, a big thank you. Quiero dar las gracias a todos que están contribuyendo al éxito de este estado. We want to thank you for what you're doing to help Texas come through, but we are still about $10,000 short of our goal. So whether it's $5, $50, $500, whatever your capacity to give, know that the House Democratic Campaign Committee will make the most of it to ensure that Texas comes through. Now, we just talked to Andra Day, to Jason Isbell, both of whom are outside of Texas, but looking on this state and helping this state so that we can come through. We're about to hear from Leela Downs, who is someone who is no stranger to Texas based on the number of fans that she's has here, the performances that she's made here, and an album that she wrote about the border, Frontera or Border, which understands the binational dynamic of Texas and communities like mine in El Paso that is connected with Ciudad Juarez to form the largest binational community in the Western Hemisphere. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you Leela Downs. Leela, tell us how you're doing today and tell us where you are in the world.
Of course, it's an honor. Hello, Beto, and hello, everybody on the team. We are in Mexico right now. We're in Oaxaca, a beautiful place in the mountains in the Sierra of southern Mexico, where a lot of farm workers come from who work in Florida, in California, in the state of Washington, and in Texas. And it's an honor to be alive and to have the opportunity to speak our mind and our heart.
Leela, we are so grateful that you are here. And again, just know that it means the world to us that this state, which has for a long time labored in the wilderness to try to come through, at least the Democrats have, to have this level of recognition, in this case, international recognition from an artist of your renown, who is not only bringing your talent to the screen today, but also the fans who follow you, who might be learning for the first time that we really have a battle on our hands here in Texas, and that we can win a majority for the first time in 20 years. You wrote an album called Salón, Lágrimas y Deseo, and in an interview that I read with you, you talk about this album in some way being inspired by the 2016 U.S. presidential election. Could you talk a little bit about that, the impact that politics has had on your music, your writing, and your performances?
Of course, yeah. I wrote a number of songs that were about kind of identity. I think that a lot of people in the U.S. are quite ignorant about our history and the importance of the history on the border and the things that we have in common. And of course, the Latino community and how important we are to our identity in the U.S., in the whole nation. I think that we tend to forget. And I wrote a song called Envidia, which means envy. And the lyric says something like, in Spanish, you are so envious of me because I have all of what you wish you could have. I have family. I am secure in myself. I have a pride in what I do. And it was definitely directed at Donald Trump and the people who follow his way of thinking. I think that what happened, in my opinion, and since I am a songwriter, I am able to write my impressions about the way that people feel uncomfortable with Latin Americans, and I think that it's such a sad thing. You know, I've been working for 25 years on songs, trying to bring people together and for people to learn more about Latin America and who we are, and so it was my heart broke when he won the elections. It really saddened me so much. And today I think we have the opportunity to make a change. especially in the Latino community, I think it's very important to get out and vote.
Leela, let me ask you something, because when I look at your biography, your roots in Oaxaca, the time that you spent in Minnesota, the time that you spent in Southern California, in LA, the performances across this country and across Mexico, you really understand the binational relationship between the United States and Mexico better than anyone else. And given how powerfully positive that is, especially in Texas, I think about a community like mine in El Paso that's one of the safest, if not the safest, in the United States. It's 85% Mexican American. A quarter of those who live in El Paso were born in Mexico or in another country. And I would argue it is the immigrants themselves who make us safe and contribute to our security and our success. How did that message get lost? And someone who supports building a wall and calls Mexicans rapists and criminals, how did that ever come to pass? And maybe the more important question, before I get you to introduce your song, how do we fix that? Beyond defeating Donald Trump and electing these amazing Democratic candidates to the state house, how do we tell the true story of our relationship with Mexico and the contribution of Mexican Americans to the greatness of this country?
Well, that's a very complicated and beautiful question. I think that educating people about our diversity and our differences is so important. And I'm actually, working on children's stories. And I think that we need to go to the root of our growth as individuals and learn more about being inclusive and understanding that our differences are what enriches this universe that we have. And especially because each culture offers a different philosophical perspective, which can enrich our lives and also give us a future, I think. And that's something that I'm very concerned about in our songwriting, of course, but I really do believe that we can make change through education. But education, sadly, is not a priority right now. And to tell you the truth, it hasn't been for quite a while. So I really think this is I think culture is seen as if it were like the last thing on the priorities. And it's very sad because culture enriches us and it opens our minds, and education opens our minds. And if we don't have that, what's happening right now is all this confrontation and ignorance and hate. And of course, we have a leader to blame mainly for what has been going on lately as well.
Leela, we understand that we're going to get to hear a performance of Clandestino. And I wonder, as you introduce that song and tell us how you wrote it and what it means to you and what we should be listening for as we hear it, if you could also share a message to your friends and followers and fans here in Texas, those who are on this live stream right now because you're on this live stream, and who may for the first time be thinking about voting in Texas. Tell us what we should be thinking about going into this election.
Well, this is actually a song that was written by Manu Chao. We have performed it for a number of years, but it honors people from several Latin American countries. And whenever we come through Texas, I have such an emotional relationship with the Mexican American community there. I really do feel like I'm coming home when I come to Texas. Of course, the mariachi and performing with mariachis. We usually invite a mariachi to come and perform with us on the stage. And we have performed with the mariachi that we heard earlier, Las Flores. And they are amazing people, amazing, soulful people who are very proud of their history and very proud of having Mexican roots, and also for speaking Spanish, which is something that we should not be ashamed of and should be very proud of having. And I think that, I'm very honored to perform this song that honors the roots of many Latin Americans in the United States of America.
Inmigrante! This is a country of immigrants. Gracias, hermano, por todo tu trabajo. Gracias, hermana. Sola voy con mi pena, sola va mi condena. Correr es mi destino para burlar la ley, perdida en el corazón de la grande Babilón. Me dicen clandestino por no llevar papel. Pa' una ciudad del norte yo me fui a trabajar. Mi vida la dejé entre Tijuana y Bagdad. Soy una raya en el mar, fantasma en la ciudad. Mi vida va prohibida, dice la autoridad. Un saludo de la peligrosa pa' la misteriosa por allá en México. Sola voy con mi pena, sola va mi condena. Correr es mi destino por no llevar papel, perdida en el corazón de la grande Babilón. Me dicen clandestino, yo soy la quiebra ley. Peruano, clandestino. Hondureño, clandestino. Mexicana, clandestina. Marihuana, ilegal. Si no peleamos por los niños, ¿qué será de nosotros? Venezolano, clandestino. Colombiano, clandestino. Sonorense, clandestino. Borderiza, ilegal. Chapaneca, clandestina. Guerrerense, clandestino. Nicaragüense, clandestino. Salvadoreño, ilegal. Boliviano, clandestino. Oaxaqueña, clandestina. Ecuatoriano, clandestino. United States of America detention centers, los centros de detención por toda la frontera. Si no peleamos por los niños, ¿qué será de nosotros? Dedicated to all the farm workers during these trying times, a todos los jornaleros y a los que nos producen la comida para comer, United States of America. ¡Epa! Son del Chile. Yo tengo ganas de comer taco de chile con cerveza, con su sal y su cebolla asadito en el carbón. Yo tengo ganas de serranito con una machucadita, con su chile costeñito tatemado de comal. Porque sin algo que pique no sabe la vida. Chilhuacle, puro sabor, y de morita y de habanero, ese chile verde bien rebanado, chilchihuacle, puro sabor, y de morita y de habanero, ese provoca mucho sudor. Chile frito y como un lato, pásele joven, chile relleno, ser honor al chile costeño y con chulada y caldo ismeño. Chile frito y como un lato, pásele joven, chile relleno, ser honor al chile costeño y con chulada y caldo ismeño. Sí que pica el chiltepín, pero sin chile no sé vivir. Sí que pica el chiltepín, pero sin chile no sé vivir. Yo tengo de chipotle, habanero, chile chihuacle, chile jalapeño. Yo tengo ganas de comer taco de chile con cerveza, con su sal y su cebolla asadito en el carbón. Yo tengo ganas de serranito con una machucadita, con su chile costeñito tatemado de comal. Chile verde, mayugue tanto el chile que se riega la semilla. Con chile verde bien rebanado, chilchihuacle, puro sabor, y de morita y de habanero, ese provoca mucho sudor. Con chile verde bien rebanado, chilchihuacle, puro sabor, y de morita y de habanero, ese provoca mucho sudor. Chile verde, ningún chile de embona este.
Welcome back to Flip Fest. We just had a chance to hear from Leela Downs, who was preceded by Jason Isbell, and then before that, Andrew Day. Just an amazing lineup. And a reminder, quick one, that if you want to help Texas turn blue, you can make a donation right now to the House Democratic Campaign Committee. Any amount is going to be gratefully received and put to the maximum use so that Texas can come through for Texas and Texas can come through for the country. Now, I just mentioned the last three performers, all of whom live outside of Texas, but are focused on this state because they want to help us come through. Let me introduce now someone who is deeply associated with the state of Texas. And I think I first learned this as an 18-year-old freshman in college in New York City. I remember telling a friend that I was from El Paso, Texas, and they said, well, you got to be a Robert Earl Keane fan. And repeatedly, as I've traveled this country and as people identify me with the state of Texas, they ask me about Robert Earl Keane. That is their connection to our state. He, and we're going to meet little Joe Hernandez from Little Joey La Familia in a minute. He joins Joe, Willie Nelson, and a very small group of people who are so iconic in this state. By extension, they represent Texas in the country. So Robert Earl Keane is with us now. Robert, tell me where you are and tell me how you and your family are doing right now.
I'm in Kerrville, Texas at my home, and everyone is doing very well. I have one girl up in Fort Worth at TCU, and she's doing great. And then my older daughter, Clara, is with me here at my house, and she's doing fantastic. My wife's doing, everybody's doing really, really, really well.
I remember I was on the campaign trail in the Senate race in 2017 or 2018. And we were in Kerrville at an event. I forget the space, but it was just a beautiful turnout. A lot of people were there. And then, holy smokes, except I probably used a different word, Robert Earl Keane is here with his family. And I just can't tell you how powerful that was for us and what it meant to us that you had come out to that event. What a big boost, because we had been traveling the state listening to Robert Earl Keane on the box, on the stereo in the truck, and then here you were in the flesh at one of the events. It meant the world to us. I so often, when I'm talking about that campaign, say we went to every one of the 254 counties of Texas. like that's a big thing. Like Robert Earl Keane hasn't done the 254 counties of Texas 10 times over. As someone so intimately involved with the identity of Texas and beloved by so many people in this state, tell me about your decision to get politically involved. I'm certain that wasn't an easy one.
Well, I believe in turning Texas blue, as you mentioned, and I think that it's time for everyone to step up. And if you have some recognition, you should speak out. And that's what I feel like that's what I've done. It's not the first thing I've ever done. I stumped for Bill White a few years ago when he ran for governor, and have done some things with Grammys on the Hill, which lobbies for music change in Washington. So I have participated in some of those. I think this particular time in our lives is the most important, and I want to do whatever I can.
I got to tell you, just from my perspective, I have to assume that cannot be easy because so many Texans, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, not aligned, all lay claim to you, right? Because you are so iconic and emblematic of the state. And so I think it is that much more powerful that you are using your voice and your following to push for the things that you believe in. One of the phrases that I've heard you use, and I've seen interviewers ask you about, is "we the people." I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what "we the people" means to you.
Well, exactly what it says, in that we are all together, total. It's not just a certain group of people, and people have spent time somewhat undermining the founding fathers, saying that they were all aristocrats. They were all brilliant men, and they worked together well to create our Declaration of Independence and our Constitution. And when they said "we the people," I believe wholeheartedly that in their hearts they meant everybody. They meant everybody. And if they didn't mean everybody right there in the room, they meant everybody from here on into the future. So I think "we the people" stands as something that we should shout louder.
Yeah, I love that. And I think about 244 years ago, all men created equal. It was an aspiration. We didn't treat all men, and certainly not all women, equally at the time, and we still don't in this country. But if that's part of the story, I'd like to think the other part of it is that we've never stopped striving to do that, to realize that, to some great sacrifice and struggle. I think about John Lewis, who we just lost recently, other civil rights heroes, the men and women who put on the uniform, put their lives on the line to fight for that ideal. And the fact that that is so present in what you just said, in your music, and I think what you mean to Texans, I hope that also brings people together of different political backgrounds to see the opportunity before us. And I feel a lot better about that opportunity being achieved if we're all successful in the work that we're doing today to help to elect Democrats to the state legislature, which I think is going to have positive repercussions up and down the ballot. So we are so grateful to you for being part of this. And as you mentioned, this is not the first time that you have stumped for Democrats, or in addition to the fame and popularity you have as a musician, you also got politically engaged. I think we're about to hear "Feeling Good Again." And I wonder if you could introduce that song and then also tell Texas Democrats, or really anyone who's watching this, what this election and what this moment in American history means to you.
Let me say what it means to me first, and then I'll introduce the song.
Please.
This is a true turning point in our future, and I believe that the young people, what I would like to do is definitely encourage the younger people, the Gen Xers and the millennials and the Zoomers, and to get out and vote, because I don't think they should feel disenfranchised because of what's going on, because what is going on is really the last of the old guard. And the next thing that's going to happen is the new guard. And all of those young people are now, like in baseball, they're on deck. There's a bat in their hands. And they're going to get up there and stand up at the plate the next time in 4 years. They're going to be doing this. And if they get together now, the time in 4 years is going to be much better for them if they can get out there and vote and say, and use their voice and not feel like their voice is not heard. Their voice is heard, and certainly Joe Biden knows that, and he echoes all those things that these younger people do. So they're on deck, get ready, go out there and vote. So that's what I feel like. That's where we are right now. It's critical. The song "Feeling Good Again" is one of those songs that just almost magically crosses over into a person listens to it and somehow it touches them in a way that is different from the next person. And that I've had everybody tell me that song was, about a bar that they went into or about getting together with, some old friends again. But I've even heard things like some people think that it's this transition into heaven and because of just the symbolism that's in there. And so frankly, the song is one of those songs that I wasn't even really conscious that I was putting this together that way. And it just came together that way. I just wanted to tell a story that was a real story and that was real to me. And I feel like that's what translates in the song.
Well, I can't wait to hear it. And I know I'm speaking on behalf of everyone who's on this call right now, everyone who's watching this video stream. We are so grateful for you and so lucky that you are devoting your efforts to this and helping us to flip Texas right now. And we stand such a better chance of doing it thanks to your involvement. And we wish you and your wonderful family that I've had the chance to meet health and wellness, especially over the next 29 days as we fight through this and hopefully win on the night of November 3rd. Please be well and please accept our gratitude for being part of this.
Well, thank you so much, Beto. Thank you for talking and having all those great guests that you had. They're really, they're inspiring. So thank you for having me.
Andale. Thank you.
Howdy, everyone. My name is Robert Earl Keane, and I want to thank you for having me. Got a few songs for you. Hope you enjoy them. Stand down on Main Street across Mr. Blues in my faded leather jacket, my weathered brogan shoes. The chill north wind blowing, the spring was coming on. So I wondered to myself how long I had been gone. I strolled across old Main Street, walked down a flight of stairs, stepped into the hall and saw all my friends were there. The neon sign was flashing, welcome, come on in, it feels so good, feeling good again. My favorite band was playing an Otis Redding song. When they sang the chorus, everybody sang along. Dan and Margarita were swaying side by side. I heard they were divorcing, I guess I let it slide. And I wished I had some money with which to buy around. I wish cashed my paycheck before I came to town. But I reached in my pocket, found 3 20s and a 10. It feels so good, feeling good again. There was old man Perkins sitting on a stool, watching Butch and Jimmy John, talking loud, playing pool. The boys from Silver City were standing by the fire, singing like they thought they were the Tabernacle Choir. And I wanted you to see them all, I wish that you were there. I looked across the room and saw you standing on the stair. And when I caught your eye, I saw you bringing to a grin. It feels so good, feeling good again. wanted you to see them all. I wish that you were there. I looked across the room and saw you standing on the stair. And when I caught your eye, I saw you break into a grin. It feels good, feeling good again. It feels good, feeling good again. All right, here's a little song I like to play. I think most everybody that has spent any time in Texas at all has experienced this particular highway. This is called Amarillo Highway. I'm a house straight and plain view, side bit and idle new, and a fresh deck and New Deal. Yeah, some call me high hand, some call me low hand, and I'm holding what I am, the wheel. I'm panhandling, manhandling, bowling out, rolling dust, bowling daddy. I ain't got no blood veins, I just got them 4 lanes of hard Amarillo Highway. I don't wear no Stetson, but I'm willing to bet, son, I'm bigger Texan as you are. There's a girl in her bare feet asleep on a back seat. That trunk's full of Pearl beer and Lone Star. I'm panhandling, manhandling, bowling out, rolling dust, bowling daddy. I ain't got no blood veins, just got them 4 lanes of hard Amarillo Highway. Pop a pill in my head and bust a hump for the golden spread under blue skies. I'm gonna stuff my hide behind some power glide and get some southern fried back in my hide. I'm panhandling, manhandling, bowling, high rolling, dust bowling daddy. I ain't got no blood veins, just got them 4 lanes of hard Amarillo Highway. And the closest I'll ever get to heaven is banging speed up old 87, that hard Amarillo Highway. All right. Thanks again. I'd like to say I really appreciate this opportunity because there's one little phrase that I feel like is sorely missing in our vocabulary these days, and it's like this. It goes like this: we the people. Good luck in November.
Back to Flip Fest. This is our effort to turn Texas blue, and it can only happen with your help. So we're almost at the end of the program. If you have been waiting or just spellbound by all the different performances and have not made a donation, now is your time to make it. Your donation will be used by the House Democratic Campaign Committee, the HDCC, to help wonderfully courageous state house candidates win their elections and turn the state house blue for the first time in 20 years. And if you want to address voter suppression, if you want to make sure that we reduce gun violence, if you want to confront climate change before it's too late, if you want to expand access to healthcare, any of that, all of that is only possible if we win these elections. And these elections can only be won if our candidates have the resources to compete. So your donations today to the HDCC allow us to do that. And I understand we are just under the initial goal we set of $50,000. I think we're at 49,000 some odd cents. Let's see if we can blow past that and give these candidates some additional campaign resources to be able to compete, to contest, and to win, and then to go make us, Texas, and the rest of the country proud. Our next guest, I am so thrilled and excited to talk to once again, because I talk a lot about, probably if you ask my kids and my wife, too much about the 2018 campaign. I'm like the high school quarterback who keeps going back to 2018 and talking about those 254 counties. But I can't tell you how many times little Joe Hernandez, who you're about to see, came out and was with us performing in Austin, in McAllen, or came as a member of the audience at the town halls in Temple. We did an early morning run in Austin, Texas one morning. This was kind of a funny campaign idea. We asked everyone to meet at 5:30 a.m. and then we were going to go run together. We thought maybe a dozen people would come out. It just shows you how crazy 2018 was. More than 200 people came out for this early morning run in Austin. Joe Hernandez came out for that run, but instead of rolling out of bed and driving 5 minutes from somewhere in Austin, he drove the distance from Temple, Texas to join us that morning. And when that crowd of 200 people saw Joe Hernandez at 5:30 in the morning, or whatever time it was we finally got together, I tell you what, it was electrifying. He's a norteño, tejano, blues, country, you name the genre, recording artist, hero, beloved by millions. And I mentioned Robert Earl Keane is Texas to so many. Willie Nelson is Texas to so many. Joe Hernandez and Little Joe y La Familia are Texas to so many. Little Joe, we are so glad that you are with us today. What a great way to end this program, to have you on as our final performer. Tell us, first of all, where you are. And then many people watching may not know this. You had COVID for a little while. Tell us how you're doing.
Well, first, let me say thank you for having me. And hello to all your youngsters. I'm doing really well, Beto. Gracias. It was quite an experience. I am in Temple. I'm at my office in Temple, Texas, where I was born and raised, and I still live here because this is the center of the universe. Todo el mundo está en Texas, in Temple. But I am doing really well, and I feel so fortunate. I know I'm so lucky. My niece, my daughter, and my wife, and myself were all tested positive and went through the COVID experience. And given my age and my underlying medical issues, I am really, really happy and just lucky to have survived. And I want to, of course, offer my condolences to so many families that have lost members, friends. It's just incredible how rampant this virus has gone and how contagious and dangerous it is. But I am doing really well, thank you, and my family's doing well. And we're all, like I said, those that were COVID positive, really lucky to have pulled through and doing well.
Joe, we're so glad that you're okay. And I gotta admit, I was a little bit alarmed. I got a text message from you after you were diagnosed. And then you recorded a video for all your fans that I also watched. And I was concerned about you. And I think a lot of people were. And so makes us very happy that you're okay, but it underscores just how serious this is, and that no one, the President of the United States, Joe Hernandez, anyone is spared from this. I think about you again as an iconic Texas musician, but especially in my hometown of El Paso, or if I go a little bit further south and east to the Rio Grande Valley in Brownsville, McAllen, Harlingen, you cannot go down a block without hearing Little Joe y La Familia. In those communities, which have been hit especially hard, in the Rio Grande Valley, so many people died of COVID so quickly that they ran out of space in the funeral homes and the morgues, and they resorted to stacking dead bodies in refrigerated FEMA trailers. That's just how bad it got recently. Tell us what you're hearing from your fans. I think about watching you play in McAllen and thousands of people coming out. I mean, your name is magic there. So is your music. What are you hearing from your fans? How are those communities doing right now?
Well, let me say that I'm grateful for all the people that sent their well wishes and prayers and home remedies. And to you, Beto, your encouraging words and has really inspired. You not only inspired me, but you gave me hope with all the hard work and good things you did for Texas. And when I got your message and you said that your state needs you, your country needs you, that was just an energy shot for me. I thank you so much for that. I'd like to say, first and foremost, to especially the Latino community, you have to believe and understand that COVID, that this disease is real. And it's super contagious. I followed all the guidelines and still I came down with COVID. So the more you learn about COVID, the better it is for you, that it's possible that you can avoid it. But you have to follow the guidelines and insist your family, your friends, and everyone around you do the same thing. The simple thing of wearing a mask is so important. And I think it's 58% of COVID deaths in Texas are Latinos. That's a big number for the number of Latinos that we have in Texas. We need to know this in the Latino community. We need to be aware of this. We need to know the status of the Latino community, and we need to be informed. We need to be aware, and we need to not be embarrassed or afraid to ask and inform ourselves about this virus. Like I said, I got a lot of messages. I had to turn the phone off for over a month because I put out a video. I got over like a million hits, and it felt like I was getting a million calls and texts. I appreciated all that, but people need to understand that, all people, but especially the Latino community, that you need to be extra careful, because we know that the Latinos in Texas are underrepresented in so many ways, in so many with so many issues, healthcare for sure, and that's one of the big reasons that the numbers of Latinos deaths are what they are. So I would say to everyone, but again, especially para la comunidad latino, que tenemos que cuidarnos, tenemos que hacer todo lo posible. No nos cuidamos solamente para nosotros, pero para nuestras familias y nuestras amistades. No tengan vergüenza preguntar información sobre COVID, because the more you know about it, the better I think you can protect yourself from it.
I really appreciate that, Joe. And I got to tell you, the candidates that the House Democratic Campaign Committee are getting behind include a number, Natalie Hurtado, who's running in Southeast Texas. I think representation in government is also critically important to addressing issues that, as you just mentioned, disproportionately impact the Latino community. We need to make sure that Latinos literally are at the table when these decisions are being made. And your support and the support of other artists on this Flip Fest today helps to ensure that we have the resources to elect these amazing candidates into these positions of public trust. Joe, I wonder, I'm gonna ask you to introduce the song that we're gonna hear. Before you do that, I wonder what you would like to say to the people of Texas. We are just a day away from the voter registration deadline. That's the 5th of October, Monday. We're just a few more days till the 13th of October, the first day of early voting. This, perhaps the most important election in the life of this country, certainly the most important election in our lifetimes, is upon us. It is happening right now. What do you want people to know, especially those who are fans of yours, who follow you, and are probably watching right now because they know that Joe Hernandez is going to be on this call?
Well, for one thing, if like you're like I am a uneducated minority and poor, you need to change our circumstance by voting. We all want a better future for ourselves and our families. I have grandchildren and great-grandchildren that I'm concerned about. So we all need to come together, and to flip the state, we need to vote. That's so important, as you said, the most important election in our lifetimes for sure. And for those of you that don't know how or what to do, how to go about voting, por favor, don't be ashamed or embarrassed to ask. There's always someone available to help. If you're not registered to vote, please get registered, and please help others, encourage them and help them to get registered and vote. And you know what? I probably, if I remember correctly, I became aware of the need of politics in our community back in the late 60s, 67, 68. And it was a local election. After I voted, I felt so proud, so good. I felt so American. And I felt that I had used the power of the vote, and I used my voice to help, better things happen. And this is what I'm proposing to all of you that have not voted. Try it. You will get a great feeling from knowing that you spoke to use the power of your vote to change things for the better. And we always have to be concerned and worried about the future. We have to think about our families. And you know better so well that entre nuestra comunidad, nuestra raza, los latinos, la familia es una de las primeras cosas que nos interesa en nuestras vidas. Our families are, if not the most important thing in our lives next to our health. So if you care for your family, and I'm sure everybody does, then the best thing you can do to secure a better future for them is to use the power of the vote. And it's a powerful thing, and we can prove that by everybody coming out and voting this election and turning the state blue, which I've been wishing for since my dear friend and Kirk and Richards left us. But this is a special moment, and I feel real confident that it's going to happen. And I've been waiting and waiting, and I think I'm finally getting my wish this time around.
Well, I think it's going to happen in large part because of your help and everything that you've done over the years to make this moment possible. Folks, we still have a number of artists that we're going to hear from, including Shaky Graves, whom I'm really excited about, Luna, and others. So please stay tuned. But right now, we get to hear from Joe Hernandez. Joe, what song are we going to hear from you right now?
I think there's 3 or 4 songs in that I recorded for you guys, and I don't know which one they're going to cue in. I'm sorry, I don't have.
No, that's okay. It's going to be a good one, though.
Well, thank you.
We are so grateful for you. You are amazing. You give me hope and inspiration. I mentioned earlier, you gave me a boost on the campaign trail when I was a candidate, and now you're doing it for candidates up and down the ballot, State House, U.S. Congress, all the way up to the White House. So, Joe, we're grateful for you. We're looking forward to hearing you perform right now, and I look forward to seeing you in person when conditions allow. I can't wait.
Gracias. Dios te bendiga to you and your family. Beto, I love you, brother. I love you, brother.
Love you, man. Gracias.
Usted.
Texas is the biggest battleground state. Have fun. purple skies forever. Waves of grain for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
For all the doctors and nurses, the first responders, we appreciate and we love you. Muchísimas gracias.
America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining
No hay amor en tus ojos, me voy de tu vida. Porque soy como soy, sin razón me desprecias. Porque dices que vivo entre gente que no es de tu altura.
No me dejas cantar en tu reja como otros te cantan.
Me dejas gritar que te quiero, tú nunca te
That was Joe Hernandez, also known as Little Joe from Little Joe y La Familia, who, along with Robert Earl Keane, who joined us a little bit earlier, two extraordinary, iconic Texas musicians who are lending their talent and following and fame and fan base to this effort of turning Texas blue and helping the House Democratic Campaign Committee have the resources they need to help our extraordinary Texas legislative candidates win their races and turn the Texas State House blue for the first time in 20 years. And so I want to thank all of the performers that we had out today: Andrew Day, Jason Isbell, Leela Downs, Robert Earl Keane, Little Joey La Familia. And then I mentioned earlier that Little Joe would be our last performance. He's not our last performance. He's the last performer I get to interview. After Little Joe, they're cutting me off, but we do get to hear Shaky Graves and Luna and some other performers who will follow after that. I now have the honor of turning this over to the two people who are behind this effort and are leading the charge in Texas, and to whom we will owe the credit if we're able to turn Texas blue, which I think we can do in this year. They are going to use the dollars that you're donating right now. And I think we're over our $50,000 goal, but we need you to continue to donate, because there are a lot of candidates, a lot of counties, a lot of territory to cover if we're really going to do this in Texas. And beyond the state house, the congressional delegation, the U.S. Senate race, and then let's make Joe Biden the first Democrat to win Texas in 44 years, since 1976. This money helps to connect with the voters who will decide the outcomes of these critically important elections. Celia Israel is a member of the State House. She's also the chairwoman of the House Democratic Campaign Committee. She's joined by Manny Hernandez, who is the executive director of the Texas Democratic Party. Now, I grew up in Texas. My dad was a county judge in El Paso County in the 1980s. So I remember the heyday of the Texas Democratic Party. I have never seen the HDCC, I've never seen the Texas Democratic Party this well led, this well organized, this well resourced. And these are the leaders you're about to hear from right now, who are going to take us through to victory on the 3rd of November. So Celia, Manny, thank you all for what you're doing. Know that we are behind you 100%.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Beto. You're the best. To everyone watching at home, welcome to the 2020 Flip Fest, an online concert hosted by the House Democratic Campaign Committee, powered by people, and the Texas Democratic Party.
We're so excited to bring together Texas Democrats to listen to some great music and fire up our party in the path towards Election Day.
Throughout this election cycle, we have shared our vision for the future with the people of Texas. When we head to the ballot box to vote for Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and the rest of the Democratic ticket, we're going to realize that vision. We're going to elect the Democrats who are prepared to fight for what is right in the face of overwhelming opposition, and we're going to make history together.
That's right. We're just a few weeks away from the most important election of our lifetimes. And together, we're going to expand access to affordable health care, fight for racial justice, equitable opportunities in education, immigrant rights, LGBTQ equality, and everyone who is struggling to catch a break. We're going to elect Democrats who are prepared to balance the scales and restore our hope for the future.
So on that note, we have an incredible lineup of artists that we're about to hear from. These performers have come together tonight to bring you all a stellar show and celebrate the Democrats that are running up and down the ballot in Texas.
A personal favorite of mine, Shaky Graves, as well as the Dallas-based indie band Luna, are about to take our virtual stage.
Not to mention, we'll be hearing from Austin's singer Emerald Soul, as well as Mariachi Femenil Flores Mexicanas.
So please join me in welcoming our next artist, Texas's very own Shaky Graves.
Hey guys, it's Shaky Graves from Austin, Texas. Just a big reminder that the election is 1 month away. We're in the home stretch here, so just make sure that you and your friends and your family are all registered. To shout out to all the volunteers and poll workers that are making sure that everyone...
Okay. That's better.
1, 2, 4, 9, 8, 7.
as of now, I exist. It takes a little while to get used to this rotation. Either way, I'll make it through the day. What I wouldn't do for a little motivation to look alive. So look alive, it's over in no time. So look alive. Yeah, look alive, it's over in no time. So look alive. Hello, gorgeous. Awful kind of you to notice that love is real, so drive it like you stole it off into the night. Well, as of late, you know, nothing's set in stone. I haven't learned a thing since 1987. Yeah, please don't make. Is there anybody home? Give me something new. I can't go on pretending to look alive. So look alive. It's over in no time. So look alive. Yeah, look alive. It's over in no time. So look alive. Look alive. Ooh, hello, gorgeous. Awful kind of you to notice that love is real, so drive it like you stole it off into the night. Ooh, the world is knocking at your window. Time is always keeping tempo. Hello, gorgeous, sweet and simple. Yeah, hello, my love. Son of man, mother God, money to burn. Board of Education. Son of man, mother God, money to burn. Age of information. Son of man, mother God, money to burn. Board of Education. Son of man, mother of God, money to burn. Age of information. Son of man, mother of God, money to burn. Board of Education. Son of man, mother of God, money to burn. Age of information. Son of man, mother of God, money to burn. Board of Education. Son of man, mother of God, money to burn. So look alive. Look alive. Oh, salsa with you.
Ready? All right, 1, 2, 3.
Baby, put your feelings in me. Darling, we'd be ecstasy. All the possibilities. Baby, put your feelings in me. Feelings in me. Feelings in me. I know you're trying to run away, baby. Let's go. Just take my hand and come with me, baby. Let's go. Find our way together slowly. Imagine all the things we could find. Yeah, but yeah, I'd like to make it true. Let's move on to something new. We'll go tonight and do whatever you like. And I'd like to make it true. Baby, be mine, oh baby, you. Let's go and ride into our own paradise. Baby, put your feelings in me. Darling, we'd be ecstasy. All the possibilities. Baby, put your feelings in me. Feelings in me. Feelings. Gonna find our way. Yeah, we wanna one day make you mine today. Yeah, we wanna one day. No more time to wait. Yeah, we wanna one day. Ain't no other way. Yeah, we wanna one day. Baby, put your feelings in me. Put your feelings in me. Darling, we'd be ecstasy. Yeah, I just want you to know all the possibilities. Possibilities, baby, baby. Baby, put your feelings in me. Feelings in me. Feelings in me. Put your feelings in me. Feelings in me. Feelings in me. Put your feelings in me. Feelings in me. Feelings in me. Put your feelings in me. Feelings in me. Feelings in me. Put your feelings in me. Feelings in me. Feelings in me. Tell me why that I'm a fool of your commitment. Running down arrow. That I'm a fool of your commitment. Oh, I'm running way too narrow. But when I see it, I get down and blue. Oh yeah. Oh my world, oh you. And when I see it, all around is true. Oh yeah. I lose more of you. And I can see it all up in your eyes. Oh yeah. That you won't make it home with me tonight. Yeah. And you'll try to let go. Oh, but then I stay, yeah. That I'm a fool of your commitment. Running down arrow. Said I'm a fool of your commitment. Oh, I'm running way too narrow. te alcanzo y es que tú me estresas. Sé que estás conmigo abriendo mi cabeza. No te alcanzo, será que tú regresas y no te he visto más. Aquí en mi soledad, eso es lo que siento, a ver si no me he muerto. Yeah, and you forgot I'll be the one that you want. I only wanna see you in time, but I did too much. And one more lie, I know that I ain't the one. I only wanna see you in time, but I did too much. Yeah, yeah. Eso es lo que siento y siento tu belleza. Si te alcanzo y es que tú me estresas. Sé que estás conmigo abriendo mi cabeza. No te alcanzo, será que tú regresas. Eso es lo que siento y siento tu belleza. Si te alcanzo y es que tú me estresas. Sé que estás conmigo abriendo mi cabeza. No te alcanzo, será que tú regresas.
It's time you knew of just what you could do. If you love you, then watch how you transform. Say it's time you knew of just what you could do. If you love you, then watch how you transform. I know you're tired of the same things, of the heartbreak manipulation. Going out and getting wasted, it's complicated, don't wanna face it. Cause when you look at your reflection and you feeling introspective, always had to face the question that you've been stressing. Like why can't I be free from the ways of the world? And why can't I be who I am in my soul, so yeah. Wake up in the morning feeling anxious. Another day I got to face, I feel complacent. I cannot keep pretending, can't keep up with spending, and this realm ain't lending me no favors. One day I got tired, the same day I decided it's time that I reclaim back the pieces of my life. And if you don't like it, change it. You can find it, make it. The only thing holding you back is your own limitations. Why can't I be free from the ways of the world? And why can't I be who I am in my soul, yeah. Like why It's time you knew of just what you could do. Say it's time you knew of just what you could do. Cause there's a prophecy acknowledging the wealth in you that you don't seek, the truth that you so deeply need. Say there's a prophecy acknowledging the wealth in you that you don't seek, the truth that you so deeply need, yeah. And I can be free from the ways of the world, and I think I can be who I am in my soul. So
Thank you for joining us at FlipFest 2020. When I ran my campaign for Attorney General in 2018, I wanted to give Texans the sense of hope that we are all in this together, to restore faith in democracy and the rule of law, to put people first, regardless of party. Seeing all of the incredible activity now gives me the same sense of hope that motivated me to run 2 years ago. And as co-chair of the effort to flip the Texas House, I see what amazing candidates are running. Texas Democrats will turn Texas blue in 2020 because we are committed to taking action on the issues impacting all Texans. We want a Texas where everyone has a fair shot, regardless of who you are, regardless of your party, so that there truly is liberty and justice for all. At the Texas House Democratic Campaign Committee, we are working harder than ever to take back the Texas House and change the course of Texas history. We are going to expand Medicaid, fight voter suppression, and block gerrymandering because voters should pick their politicians, not the other way around. Change is coming to Texas with your help. We are just weeks away from casting our ballots in the most critical election of our lifetimes, and we must vote like our future depends on it, because it does. We must cast a vote for justice and fairness and dignity. So commit to voting. Commit to making sure all your friends and family are voting. As Robert Kennedy said, each of us are tiny ripples of hope that together can sweep down the mightiest walls of oppression. So fellow Texans, it's up to us. Let's create those ripples of hope. Together, we will change Texas. And when we change Texas, we change the country. Thank you.
Los gallos y las mujeres son dos cosas igualitas, son dos cosas igualitas. Los gallos y las mujeres
vecinos.